What's the basis for spaceships except for conveyance to escape the matrix? No, but it's more than you've seen it do. I promise you that my bars is rap genius proof, and I'd rather take the scenic route. I'm not the.
And we are back. Hold this mic. I'm Akil Vix.
I'm Josh Kurzbercher.
And let's do a quick little jump into Mother Russia. I'm sorry if I offended anyone with my accent, but just we'll go over the quick.
And Sparrow.
And Sparrow's coming out. Yeah. J-Law.
Now there's a good reason to talk about Russia.
Now there's a great reason to talk about Russia. So yeah, the big news in Russia is obviously Sparrow, starring Jennifer Lawrence.
I didn't mean that. All right, yeah, go ahead.
Mueller, Special Prosecutor Mueller, in the last week, handed down indictments to 13 individuals and I believe 3 businesses. So basically, the government has outlined its case against these Russian agents or actors. I didn't see anything in the indictment that specifically links them to the Kremlin. There may be evidence on that. I don't think I've seen that yet. But Russian actors who were specifically trying to influence the election for Donald Trump using social media and a bunch of other tactics. Some was kind of funny, and dressing up as Hillary, and you know. So now we have the government's proof, and now we can officially say Russia meddled in the election. I mean, we all knew it. All the intelligence agencies confirmed it, but now we can say we know who it was who did this. So,
right.
Is this a big deal?
And were any of these agents like Sparrow?
I think there was one named Nadia or something. So yes, there might have been a Sparrow. I don't know.
Because, that'd be something else.
Yeah, well, you know what? I would care if one of them was sending tweets in the day and cutting other people's throats by night. Yeah, I think that's a big deal. We should probably have a war with Russia.
But what do you think about this invasion into our election system? I'm curious.
I think it's something that we should. I think it's something that we should be more concerned about the fact that it worked than the fact that it happened. It happened. I think it's like, it's Russia's job. That's like, it's being mad at the evil empire for being an evil empire. It's what they do.
Like Putin's whole MO is about using, and this was the Soviet MO, is using the limited resources that Russia has and having the biggest impact on the world stage, and using that to kind of like reclaim some kind of like,
I think Putin
nostalgic fantasy for Russia.
I think Putin just wants money, and I think he wants to protect his interests and protect his power.
He wants power around the world. I mean, he's supporting Assad in Syria. I think he wants to have his hand on the scale. Yeah, just like the U.S. does. He wants that kind of influence.
Right. He doesn't want to be second to the U.S. in terms of deciding what happens around the world.
Right. And the money's important.
I think the money's really important because
he's got a whole pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
And it's working pretty well for him.
Yeah. But all that being said, I think the much bigger deal about Russia is the fact that the stuff that they were doing, they weren't making this stuff up and then infecting us with it. They were just taking what was already in our political system and amplifying it a little bit. But
I think they might have stretched the truth a few times.
Yeah, but they didn't.
What the bots were saying.
Right, but they didn't come up with that though. They didn't come up with those lies. Good old-fashioned Americans came up with Hillary killed Vince Foster and
they exploited the shit out of it.
Right,
so.
We should be thanking them honestly because they're pointing out. Hey, you got a big tumor there. Look at that tumor.
What was the cost of them pointing that out?
Hey, it was a really expensive cost. It would have been nice if we listened to the doctor 8 years earlier, but no, we had to wait until...
Yeah, but, we're not 8 years ago, we're now. And the point is now we have evidence from our beloved FBI that that the Russians had this very specific actions taken, and they're being indicted, and it goes beyond the sort of standard so far, which is that Paul Manafort is working for the Viktor Poroshenko, who was the president of the Ukraine, who was supported by the Kremlin, or that Carter Page was in a meeting with spies, that he was actually turned into a spy, unwittingly even. Now we know that the Russians carried out operations on U.S. soil.
Right, but
what are you going to say to that?
Well, I mean, we know that Russian people did that. Let's not say that. Let's be a little careful before we say that another country attacked us.
It's a kind of attack,
right? But
it's not like they blew up a building.
By that standard, then so many countries should be attacking us right now.
Their mission is to undermine confidence in U.S. democracy, and that's a problem.
Right, but
there's reasons to be not confident in U.S. democracy already, or whatever.
Right, exactly. No, wait. Let's stop. Let's stay there.
No, because the threat now got us the most heinous monstrosity of a president, bashing apart our democcy at a rate far faster than any other.
We were headed there without Russian interference. Earlier,
we were headed to Trump without Trump.
Yes. Yeah. Not without Trump. No, Trump was. Yeah, but but Russia didn't create Trump. We created Trump.
Yeah, fine. That's totally fine. But the fact that, you have to get the facts in this situation. It can't just be the U.S. has had clandestine and overt operations overseas for the longest time. We all know that. We installed governments all over the world.
But it's even simpler.
And the U.S. created Trump, sure, fine. But this Russia problem is as far as statehood and the international politics and the principles of a republic, is a huge, devastating defeat for the United States. And if it carries on into the next election, it's going to be just as big a defeat.
Yeah, but we're going to lose because we're dumb. We're dumb Americans. I was imagine if you had a guy who was trying to kill you, right? And this guy is trying to kill you, and then you stab yourself, and then the guy who's trying to kill you pulls the knife out and you bleed to death. Well, your bigger problem is the fact that you stabbed yourself.
Right.
You wouldn't have been able to pull the knife out.
So what is it specifically that you want to talk about instead of Russia?
I'm saying that when we talk about what Russia did and how Russia was able to influence the election, and we don't know that their influence turned the tide of the election. We're never going to figure that out. That's impossible to know. But when we look at what they actually did to influence the election, all they did was amplify the shit that we ourselves mired our political system in. And there was a whole industry built around, you hadn't heard of Alex Jones, but Alex Jones, Glenn Beck, some people on Fox News are still doing it.
They've been doing that forever, and Russia joined in.
Yeah. And Russia didn't, they weren't going to not do it, and Russia was like, hey guys, can you do it again this year? No, they were still going to do it.
Yeah.
They were already in the process of doing it. Russia just said, oh, hey, that guy owes us money. Let's join in on this whole cavalcade.
He owes them money. They might have blackmailable material on Trump.
They probably do.
They might have, they might have something going with this scheme because they are weakening the United States. Because whether or not, did the election get tilted into Trump's favor because of Russia? It's possible.
Sure,
it's possible.
It's possible that
and then it's also true that everything that Russia and interfering in our elections stands for is a is a problem that you can't tolerate. You can't have a president who hasn't addressed it himself once out of his mouth, acknowledging that Russia has interfered in the election. Like, Trump, whatever might have contributed to his election, like, that's the crisis. Like, the crisis is at enormous proportions, and there's no you're not going to convince me that, like, this isn't something to worry about, because this is contributing to the problem, and it's a crisis of statehood and sovereignty.
I'm just saying it's something to worry about, but I think you're worrying about Russia is the wrong thing, because if we yell at Russia and we put sanctions on Russia, like I mean, are we going to go to war with Russia over this?
I mean, what we need to be doing is slapping massive sanctions.
Okay, so but we're not going to war. We're just doing sanctions.
Because there were
right?
sanctions on Russia.
Right.
They got enacted by Obama, and they were not put into place by Trump.
Okay, so but we're not going to war. Are we going to war?
No.
Kinetic war? No.
Why would we go to war?
All right. Okay, so we're going to put sanctions on them, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll put sanctions on them. If we still have the knife, or we stick ourselves with another knife in 2018, all the sanctions in the world is not going to stop Russia from coming over and yanking that knife out again and having us bleed out all over again, because sanctions aren't going to stop them from doing it if we're already doing it to ourselves.
It's punitive. The idea is, if you do, in international politics, if a nation does something like strike your land or invade you, you have to counter with something. You don't leave actions like this unchecked. If you ask anybody who's ever been a diplomat or a member of the State Department or a member of the military, they'll tell you you don't leave an action like this unchecked.
Okay,
so
fine, check it.
All I'm saying is
it's not
that
gonna do shit. Check it. I don't care. Like, yeah, sanction them. I'm just saying, what is not gonna stop them?
Making sanctions, making arrests, making like using the power of the U.S. diplomatically.
Is any of that gonna put pressure on Putin?
Yes, absolutely.
From who?
Absolutely, it will. If we had a real State Department, unlike the hollowed out,
like freezing assets, you mean? Like,
Department, absolutely, freezing assets. That's part of sanctions.
Yeah.
Freezing assets. Banning the sale of Russian goods in the United States, punishing other countries that do business with Russia.
Wait, there's Russian goods in the United States.
What?
There's Russian goods in the United States.
I mean, there's Russian goods in a lot of the world, and the oil. Yes, the U.S. completely 100% benefits from Russian oil.
Well, we've already kind of tanked their oil sales by upping our own production, and OPEC's been also fucking with the Russian oil price. So
but if you don't put pressure as a retaliation.
No,
he's just emboldened.
He's more
emboldened to do more of that in the future.
But you realize, like, a lot of this stemmed from us fucking with the oil prices and, like, killing their economy by flooding the market with American oil. That during Obama, we flooded the market with American oil. You know, their economy took a hit. His way of pushing back was to say, "Hey, fuck the economy. We're going to get ourselves a brand new Crimea."
That's great that, like, you have the history down, but we're dealing with, like, a reality.
But like,
right
things happen for things just like. Russia didn't wake up one day and say, "Oh, we're going to be evil and attack America." No, like, they had their reasons.
Yes, there's been history.
And we'll have our reasons. My point is, they attacked it. They used a strategy that was very, 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 whatever you want to say, if it had an effect on the election or not, it did. Like, people are divided as fuck. If you want to talk about, like, people not trusting, people don't believe facts anymore, right?
Right. And part of that is, like, Russia sponsoring hackers to go into the DNC or the RNC, pull out emails, distribute them and point out the hypocrisy of the American government, which is, like, every single government that has ever existed is has corruption, and it's sort of a like a endemic problem or a pandemic problem. When you have when you have another country coming in and I sort of lost my train of thought, but, like, go ahead. What were you saying? Say what you were saying.
What I'm saying is, like, when you have a country where people can't drink fucking water in a major American city. Like, who's a fuck about some Russians fucking with some shit? Like, seriously, you think about this, right? You got people who are addicted to like all types of opioids and dying by the masses. You got people who can't drink the water. People in Puerto Rico still haven't had flood relief. People who can't get a good job. People who are underemployed, can't afford their medical bills. Living in all this fucking stress and pressure and all this bullshit, right?
Right.
And because of politicians who were exposed to just be worried about their power, not giving a shit about the issues, were willing to torpedo candidates that weren't falling in line, and like people, taking money, all this shit like that, right? And like all of that is here. It's been happening, and people are mad and pissed off about it, and they got fooled. Someone, outside actors, did come in, and they directed all that anger towards a stupid orange puppet. And that's bad. It's very, very bad. I agree with you. Just shake our finger and wag our finger at them and take their money, right? But the problem that they exploited is still the problem, and that's not going away. And as long as that's there, maybe it's not Russia. Maybe, I don't know, maybe China starts getting their fucking, hey, China is way smarter and has way more resources than Russia at this point. So, we need to fix our shit before we start going around and saying that the rest of the world needs to leave us alone.
Here's why I think here's my take, okay? Tied to this Russia meddling, it's the question of whether Trump obstructed justice, whether he, did something like treasonous, whether money laundering, meeting with Russian spies, all stuff that's already been proven, right? Or most of that, at least, has already been proven.
It's very likely.
The stuff with the spy meetings and stuff like that, like the ambassador meetings, that's proven. But, that's fact.
I think he laundered money for him.
The whole picture of the Russian meddling is the way to impeach Donald Trump. That's what it's there for, functionally.
Yeah.
If you take that away, you don't have much of a leg to stand on to impeach this extremely damaging person who is doing much more harm to the U.S. than Russia ever did. But because his campaign was in bed with during his election and while he's in office, it is the key to the possibility that, especially if Democrats win a majority in Congress, that he can be impeached.
Okay, and then what? Because none of the stuff that Trump is doing,
why ask then what when fully, like we all know.
Yeah, Mike Pence becomes president, and they continue with the exact same agenda.
Yeah, but Pence is implicated in this too.
Okay,
and they know that, and Mueller knows that.
Paul Ryan becomes president, and he does the exact same agenda.
So, but I don't understand, like...
The agenda, that's the problem. Trump isn't the problem. The agenda, what he's doing to hurt people is the problem. And Trump is a black hole. Trump has no opinion.
No, Trump is the president of the United States, and he has a lot of power.
Trump is an actor. He is a dumb orange actor.
Yeah, who's president?
And right, and what is he doing? All he's doing...
He's slamming through things with executive order. He's annihilating the U.S. government with completely, department heads.
For what? But who's he doing that stuff for?
He's doing that for ultra conservatives and conservatives
who have been getting more and more power in the party before Trump. They were the reason Trump was able to the stuff that the Conservative Party was leaning towards and doing, and actually when they won all those state houses during Obama's tenure. This is the stuff that they were doing at the local level.
This is why Democrats are winning back as we speak. This is what the special election showed. The special election showed, if anything, I have a theory about Trump that's kind of counter. I don't know if it's counter to what you're saying, but it's a different take. So, Republicans have been building over the last 30 years. They have an agenda, like you said, it doesn't have to do with Trump, but Trump is their vehicle for its ultimate like massive push forward.
Yeah.
People, when they see the massive push forward, voters in general, enough to tilt the elections, realize that this is harming themselves, the country, their communities, and they don't like these conservative ideals when they're put into action. They like them in theory, some of them, but they don't like them in action. And the left, who hated the conservative agenda the whole time, gets more galvanized. They get completely thrust into a new level of activism and so on. So, this, you can point out the contradictions. Like, there's obviously tons and tons of contradictions and tons of things that we don't acknowledge about where this problem stems from. But in the near term, the Russian problem is also tied to toppling Trump and also every single Republican that kissed his ass this whole time being vulnerable in the elections. That's what it's about.
Right, and I hear you. My only issue with what you're just saying is that when people get tired of Republican policy that never works and the left comes and save the day, what's been happening for Clinton and now Obama is that the left jumps in, but they don't say bring it back to the left. They stake out a rightward position.
This is different.
And then we get pushed more back to the left. Now,
this is a completely different situation.
I thought Bush was going to be a completely different situation, but it
Trump
could
is like tenfold worse than Bush.
I'm saying, but we thought that there was a worse already, and we've proven that there could be a worse. So but what I'm also saying is I lost my train of thought there. So let's you use Russia, you take Trump down, you take down all the Republicans that supported him, right? So you already know that you've got a segment of the electorate that's never going to be not pro-Trump, right? They bought into it.
It's about 35% of the electorate.
Right. And then you'll have a bunch of people
that's
are
approval rating.
Right. And then you got a bunch of people who are conservative, but, they just are But here's the thing. These people that are conservative, they just don't vote Democrat, right? So
they stay home.
So they stay home. Okay,
and
fine.
That is the vote.
But then they'll come back out the next time a Republican comes up that isn't as odious as Trump.
And that's the ongoing, and probably what we agree on is that the ongoing fight between conservatism and liberalism is never ending.
Right.
It's always a fight. It'll always be a fight.
And I'll just stop with this, is that all I'm saying is that the Democrats need to focus on fixing those underlying problems. And that's the best defense against Russia. If you really care about what Russia did, then you need to take away the weakness that they use. Because it's not going away. And, we'll see what, you see what sanctions do, or whatever, but, let's move on to something. I think let's go straight to Wakanda.
Okay.
Let's go straight to Wakanda.
We had to battle it out there.
Yeah, no, we had to. Yeah.
We had a legitimate difference of opinion.
Yeah. And
I hope you all enjoyed it.
And I say, look, I hope that this Russia thing does blow up in Trump's face. I hope he gets arrested. I think he's a fucking criminal. I want him to go down in flames. I just also want to
that the policies of the left be forwarded, which absolutely.
So, but meanwhile, in Wakanda, oh man, so you didn't see Black Panther.
No.
So I'm going to be as spoiler-free as I possibly can be. And for you, the listeners, you can keep listening. You don't have to jump off here. Man, I've seen it twice. And wow, it's just so like great to finally see something so black, but not in the way like it's not the Help, it's not, you know, like it's the same thing I felt about Get Out. Like Get Out was like this horror movie.
The Help is the movie about like servants in the South and their white masters.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's not The Blind Side where it's the poor black kid who never had a bed before.
Right.
And like, you know, when the white woman had this, you know, this is about like these cool, badass black people.
Right.
In Africa doing cool, badass things with the weight of a country and a world on their shoulders and a whole, like, you know, family drama, Shakespearean, like, just, you know, all of that which ties into, like, the African-American diaspora and, like, the relationship between African-Americans and Africa and what, you know, what is owed between those two and, like, and it's a big, fun, loud Marvel movie. Yeah. Like, I don't know what more I could want. Yeah. And it's good. It's so good.
What's it like comparable to, even not just in terms of like if you could compare it to a movie and it wouldn't have to be like another Marvel movie or even an action movie, but like what's something that like gave that level of depth and understanding of...
I think I kind of already spoiled it because I think the best comparison would be Get Out.
Get Out.
Jordan Peele's Get Out, because both of these movies are is like they're genre exercises, right? Like Black Panther is a superhero movie, Get Out is a horror movie, so they're genre exercises, but they are making a social commentary about the black experience within these genre exercises, and they're still excellent versions of entries in the genre. Like they don't have to have this message about the black experience, but they do, and it just makes it that much better. And they're just great movies. And like, and the other thing is like they show a side of the black experience that isn't one that's like rooted solely in a struggle and like, you know. I mean, Get Out, there is more of a struggle, but it's a horror movie, so like there should be some struggle in a horror movie. But it's in a way that's not like, it's not this like, oh yes, America did very bad things to black people and they took it very well and they are better.
They're good white men too.
Yeah, and they're better for it. No, these movies are like, no, shut up white people. This is what it's really like.
This is,
and we're also having fun while telling you what it's really like.
Right. And it's not, and no one's a foil for like the white experience, in some way.
Well, I tell you, I love Black Panther does so many like sneaky good things, and I'm trying not to be. Again, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers, but just when you watch it, just pay attention to there's only 2 white characters in the movie, so just pay attention to each of their character arcs, and like, there's a great commentary on, like, you know, white people in black spaces, like, you know. I'll just leave it at that.
Right on, okay.
There's one way to, like, the one is how to be in black spaces and be cool and get invited to the cookout, and the other one's how not to get invited to the cookout.
Can I tell you, like, I want to tell you a story about how I, like completely botched what I thought was, like, what I thought was going to be me making friends with the black dudes 3 or 4 doors down from me my sophomore year.
Oh, please.
Who, I mean, they were like, seemed to be like, I think, well, I know definitely some of them were on like the football team or, you know, I can't remember the specifics. These guys were a little more, you know, probably, I'm guessing, you know, working class, maybe lower income, I don't know, you know, but I went like, I mean, I come from like, you know, the Quaker background and there is a lot of like good aspects to that and like, you know, the equality of all people being the very fundamental center of it and stuff like that. But in action, it can happen differently. So I was smoking weed a lot then, and I knew they were smoking weed, and I kind of like killed it from the start because like I kind of like invited myself in and like like was just like, you know, I think I was kind of cool at first, and then I sat down and smoked some weed, and I felt like, whoa, I'm like a bit like this nerdy white kid, and you know, it's that classic sort of like, you know, caricatured thing about like, you know, awkward, you know, white kid and like cool, like, you know, black guys who, you know, they don't have it's just like a stereotype. It's all stereotypes, but there's a little bit of truth in stereotypes sometimes. So I sat there getting more and more stoned, and and then realizing that like none of them were looking at me or really talking to me anymore. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna leave, and I left. And I probably like was still saying what's up or whatever, but it was really embarrassing. Yeah, so this movie, it sounds fantastic. I can't wait to see it. And actually, you know, I was thinking like the movie. I mean, this is a different, completely different, I think, or you tell me. But like, it's a more of a documentary style, you know, fiction, but sort of like shot in a documentary way, which was Moonlight.
Oh.
Which was pretty much all black people, right?
Yeah.
And I thought I loved Moonlight. I thought it was great. What's like the sort of, like, is there any comparison at all other than the fact that everyone's black or most people are black in both movies? Or is there something like relatable between those?
I think Black Panther is like just a better film. I wasn't a huge fan of Moonlight.
Okay.
Like I thought Moonlight was a very well done movie. Like everything technically was just gorgeous. Like the way it was shot, acting, soundtrack, it's a very great movie. I just like the thing that Black Panther does is so great is that everyone has an arc. Everyone has an arc.
Right.
Everyone that you see on screen has an arc, and you understand what their motivations are. Mm-hmm. You understand
how they're forming and changing,
and like how their place in the story or in Wakanda society is informing, like, you know, what they want and what matters to them, and like even the villain, like, you know. But and my problem with Moonlight is that like, I have way more sympathy for Killmonger, the villain in Black Panther, than I did for the main character of Moonlight, because I just didn't know anything about him other than the fact that he was sad and he was gay. And like, I didn't know like what do you want to be when he grew up? Or
but that's the thing, like wasn't he? You know, I mean, what struck me about Moonlight was that he had this breakout, like, punch in the face. He beat someone's face to a pulp who had been a bully to him, while his lover was sort of in cahoots with the bully, right? And then he goes to jail. He gets, like, ripped. He gets his grill done, and he sees his old lover again, and you can tell how much like that intimacy with that man meant to him, and that like he did all these things. I mean, this is my interpretation. I don't know what the fuck. Like, I could be totally wrong.
Everything you're saying, like,
he did everything to like become like a big like sexy man, but in the end, like, he just wanted like that relationship, and that it was that memory that had stuck with him for the longest time. You know, I think that was profound. But
that was my issue, is that like at the end,
it's like a love story. You know?
No, yeah, it's totally a love story. It's just, but it's like at the end of it, like I understood the love interest, and I had more sympathy for him than I did for the main character that we followed this entire time, because like I sense his loneliness. I sense his like, you know, his hope for the relationship with the love interest, and then the betrayal when he like you know has to punch him or whatever. But then like I didn't know anything about him to make, you know, like what was, you know, in a relationship with this dude, what would that have been like? You know, like what would that, like what was he bringing to that relationship? Why did he like him so much? Just because he was the first like kid to show interest in another boy?
He was like a cool, like outspoken, like, you know,
like,
guy who happened to be gay as well, but hid it probably.
Right.
And
no,
then,
but I'm just saying, like, I just wanted something more to attach my like you know, like when I'm rooting for a relationship on screen, like I want to like, you know, see that like, oh yeah, these two characters really do like have this like really amazing chemistry, and they really do hit it off, and like they have shared interests here, or maybe they have like differing things, but they overcome it, and like the story was so more, the movie was so much more focused on atmosphere and like, and you know, giving you these moods that it didn't have any time for that character building, and I kind of thought that like without it, it just seems kind of, it felt a little flat for me. And I understand it's completely subjective. Like I'm not trying to say like I have the right interpretation of it, but personally.
So whereas
with Black Panther, like every single character, you have a reason. You like you know why, you know, the things they do matter to them. Right. And like, you know,
do you think you have a better access to that kind of point of view if you're black watching the film and African American or African?
Yeah, I think so. Like I think like
I mean that would,
yeah. I mean in terms of the story as it relates to like the action and the movie itself, no, I think those are like, that's like this, that stuff is like the Shakespearean, like, you know, it's almost like kind of Game of Thronesy a little bit. And that stuff's very accessible and cool, and everyone will love it. But then the thematic layer on top of that, that's like a very deeply personal Black and like African experience. Like, and it's great to have something that like kind of connects both cultures, you know, which is something that like never really like, you know, gets any kind of play in movies.
Right. Yeah. What, like, I mean, I've only sort of read, you know, maybe an article or somehow, you know, or heard it referred to, like, the relationship between, like, African immigrants in the United States and African Americans. Is there a play, are there plays on that, or is that just
not necessarily, not really. Like, it's more about, like, I mean, it's a what-if tale because Wakanda is a fictional place, but it's like...
what's the name of it?
Wakanda.
Wakanda, okay.
Yeah.
That's where the main character comes from.
Yeah.
Okay.
The setup is that Wakanda has access to this metal called vibranium, and because of that, they were able to develop far beyond the rest of the world, but do it in complete secrecy. So everyone thinks they're like a third world farming country, but reality, like they're this beautiful, like Afro futuristic techno, like, you know, what's what I'm looking for? Utopia.
Yeah.
But what the film deals with is like, you know, so you have this what if, then what responsibility did they have to the rest of Africa and the rest of the African diaspora that like fell subject to colonization?
Right. Is it kind of a comment on like somewhere like Nigeria where there's a lot of oil wealth? Is there like, you know?
No, I don't think it's like it's not like a direct like comparison to like, it's more of like, it's more of a metaphor for like other things that aren't like, instead of like cultural wealth, instead of like wealth, maybe you could take it as a metaphor for like cultural wealth. Like I heard someone recently describe it as like, you know, like Africa, like for different reasons, just never shared their culture with African Americans. So like, you know, maybe they were lacking in that way. Maybe, you know, but like, you should totally just watch the movie because like,
Sounds awesome, amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm starting to lose my
Yeah.
my voice.
Yeah, I'm starting to lose focus a little. All right. Well.
Yeah. So that'll do it. We are going to relax and watch the Winter Olympics and watch some curling. And all right, we'll see you later. I'm Akil Vix.
I'm Josh Kurz-Burchard.
And this has been Hold This Mic.
Needed to just because you think what you see is true. No, this is